What's up, everybody? Nick Piles, publisher of 1851franchise.com, here with another episode of Meet the Zor. We are talking fully promoted coming up next. If you like these videos, please click subscribe, and you can learn about other franchise brands and their stories fully promoted coming up next. All right, Andrew, I know you have a tremendous story, and I always like starting here first. So before we talk fully promoted, we're going to talk you. So I usually say, how did you accidentally fall into franchising? But your last name is like franchise royalty. So there's a little bit of a shift to the story. But tell me about your franchise journey to how you get to this place.
Sure, Nick. Absolutely. And great to be here. And again, as you referred to, the business hits very close to home for me. The company hits home to me. My father, Ray, started United Franchise Group and fully promoted United Franchise Group 38 years ago, fully promoted now 24 years ago. But yeah, my first job was, as you would probably imagine, cleaning the building, 12, 13 years ago, right? Doing different roles throughout the company over the summer. Really just kind of that's how I got my first experience with United Franchise Group and our company. Then worked for the company while in college, worked for a local franchisee in Birmingham, Alabama, where I went to university. After college, I kind of had two different paths, was debating whether to, follow the family business or go into a different field. And, my dad at the time encouraged me to actually try something different, try something new, right? Get into directing, which is what I want to do, get involved in movies and theater and film. And, moved to New York City to do that, was there, but at the same time, took on a job with the company to make some money while I was there. As you know, with grinding your way to become good in directing and in the arts, it's going to take some time. And frankly, I never went on one audition, never went on one a networking event or anything. Kind of fell in love with the family business there in New York City 6 years ago. And long story short, ultimately from there, took on a bunch of different roles with the company to 2 years ago, taking on president of Fully Promoted. So that's kind of my little story here.
I love it. Some things that I want to unpack. So I've had a few conversations with, call it legacy, children of founders who have now, as life has gone on, they've moved into a larger role. And so I'm curious, obviously you went and chased another dream. From what's going on in the back of your head, are you, and I mean this positively, but because you had the backup plan, is it hard for you to fully engage into that other dream of film and movies and everything else because you had this in the back of your head? Or how are you dealing with the complexities of what you can do and what you want to do?
Sure. I think my dad was very clear from the start, Nick, we have to all want to do this. This has to be something that is a desire of us. And he encouraged us to follow our dreams, just like his dad encouraged him to follow his dreams. His dream was to be in the NBA, to be a basketball player, and so it's, you take that dream as long as you can. But ultimately it's so good to have, obviously, the family business in the background as a fallback, but to follow the dream as long as you can, but still have that in your back pocket that you could always go back to the family business. But, more importantly, and I know we'll talk a little bit about this as well, is, my dad always said, there's always a position for you in the company. Now, what that is, that's up for you to earn and do a good job doing. You have to ultimately work your way to earn different positions and titles and responsibility. And that's been really, really cool to still have a dad who has that opportunity, but at the same time will encourage you to earn every step of the way.
Can you recall the moment where you're like, it was pulling you in the direction to go back to working with the family? Like, was there an exact moment? And the reason I ask is because a franchise buyer has to go through a moment too, where they say, I'm getting pulled towards buying a franchise. I'm weighing the benefits of my career. And eventually the pull of, okay, I'm ready to go, whether that takes one day or 100 years, pushes them over that edge. Can you recall going through that tug and saying, okay, now I'm in?
Yeah, I don't think there was necessarily a specific moment, but I would definitely say being in New York and obviously having two older brothers who already are involved in the business, 3 cousins who are involved in the business, that was a pretty big selling point for me to get involved as well. So I don't think there was a specific point. I just think kind of as I got that experience, and in the back of my mind, it was like, I'll do this eventually, but this isn't the time right now. But as I got more and more experience, as I met some of our franchisees, 6 years ago, and really, really got to know them and the journey that they've been through to grow their business and what we do to support franchisees to help them build and grow their business, it was just really cool to me. And it really fascinated me that, in multiple different areas, I can be a part of helping them grow their business further, or I can be a part of helping someone find a good business and therefore a good fit for them. So I just think falling in love with that process while in New York was so key for me to then say, hey, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I feel passionate about. And, it's always really great to be involved with the family and having my brothers and cousins there and my dad.
Have you had to challenge yourself on confidence and you having your own autonomy of running the business with franchisees? Have you had to battle? Did you have to battle, or do you battle a franchisee say, all right, Andrew, I'll talk to Ray about that. Like, at some point, did you say, like, no, this is, I am president. I am in charge of this. This is my decision. Like, was it hard to build up that confidence?
Not really in this role, I would say, because frankly, before this, I think a lot of the franchisees saw this being earned by me and ultimately respected me for that. So I would say in previous roles, I was a regional vice president with the company, was the youngest in the history of the company to win MVP of the company in its 36 years at the time. Ultimately managed our development team, got a lot of good experience doing that. So no, I didn't really deal with that from our franchisees taking on Fully Promoted, just because there was already that built up respect, I think. And, I think the highest validation of that was my father, entrusting me to put this. And a lot of franchisees know my father really well, and they know he would never do it if I wasn't ready to take it on.
I love that. So early on in my career, I accidentally fell into franchising in 2005. So I've been doing this for really the bulk of my adult career. I remember there's two things I want to say on this. One, I remember being at an expo in Washington D.C. and watching your dad, like, he's up in the rafters, and he's watching down. He's watching the salespeople sell franchises. Like, I could see, like, he's pinpointing down there. And I'd met your dad at various franchise events, and so I saw it. Like, he had perfected selling franchises. Over time, the term developing franchisees starts evolving, and then all of a sudden the franchisee has the tools of the internet to be very sophisticated when they're going through the process. So therefore, it's almost facilitating questions more than it is convincing them, go buy this franchise. So because things have changed so much, and obviously you guys have innovated as a business, you're coming in there with a different perspective. How are you changing things for the future for a legacy brand? And how have you seen some of the shifts in franchise development happen as you've been in leadership?
Sure. Yeah. And you're 100% right. With access to internet, there's access to a lot more information. And I think that's great for us. We take a fully transparent mindset to the franchise development. Our whole goal is to find people who are good fits for us and that we're a good fit for them. Because at the end of the day, if they're not as passionate about the brand and the company as we want them to be, they're not going to be great franchisees. And so we want to have that mutual respect for each other in the sales process as well. So kind of the approach I take really with all franchise development is having them speak to multiple different franchisees. And I tell them, don't speak to just the top people, speak to the people in the middle, speak to some lower performing franchisees and see why they haven't performed as well as they could. Speak to people in different areas, not just main areas, main big cities, but suburban areas and maybe secondary cities. So really having a full transparency route with them, but also them knowing, I think when you do that, people appreciate that a lot. And that's really resulted in one of the reasons why we've had a lot of success over the last 3 years in franchise development, specifically for Fully Promoted. Last year we added on 42 franchisees. Of those, 33 of those were brand new locations for us. So that was a huge win for us being a legacy brand. This year already, we've already added on 18 new franchisees this year. And so I think between last year's end of year development and this year, we're going to open up about 26 new locations this year which has been a really, really positive thing for us. And frankly, it's a lot easier to get new people on board of the system when you have franchisees who are willing to tell them how they feel about the brand and really speak positively about the company.
For franchisee acquisition, is it organic? Is it broker? How are you acquiring these franchise buyers?
Sure. Yeah, we take a really a three-prong approach with our franchise development. Number one is mining our own database, right? We have a ton of people in our contact information in our contact base that we can reach out to and call and engage with, and maybe it wasn't the right fit for them at that time 3 or 4 years ago, but maybe it is now, right? And that's the number one. Number two is through just general lead portals. Your companies that you'll pay to generate leads for you online. Our brand website is really successful for us in that aspect. And number three is brokers. We use a couple of different groups like IFPG. We use the Entrepreneur Source that we have great relationships with that help facilitate our growth. So it's really a three-pronged approach for us in franchise development, Nick.
Yeah, and I would imagine if we look at the history of the business, and again, going from selling to developing, the broker community is relatively new as it relates back to franchising, because they're capturing people in their infancy of saying, I don't know what franchising is. Here's how much money
Sure.
I have. Align me to the brand. Organic should continue to tick up. And obviously the franchise lead portals were very, very, very successful in 08, 09. Maybe that was like their heyday, and then things changed because the brokers were getting in front. And it's like, wouldn't you rather talk with someone than just go on a portal? So it's interesting to hear like how that is transformed. And part of the reason I like talking about your story before we get deep into a brand is because I believe you bet on the jockey, not on the horse. And so in the sense of United Franchise Group, it's really your dad was the jockey that you're betting on for such a long period of time, and now it's extended into executive leaders both in the family and not in the family. When you get a hold of a candidate, is it more selling on the culture, the infrastructure, the support models than it is fully promoted? Or do you find that fully promoted is the thing that you're selling more?
Yeah, I think it's both, frankly. I think the first thing that people are attracted to when they talk to anyone for United Franchise Group is stability, right? We've been here for 38 years. We have multiple brands that have been successful, multiple franchisees who have been with us for 10, 20, 25 years. In Sinorama, some have been with us for more than 35 years, right? And have ran their business extremely successful. And so I would say number one, it's obviously the wealth of knowledge and the experience. That's kind of, I think, the first thing people get attracted to is that. But then, for us specifically, Nick, when they start to learn more about the industry, they realize this is a super high repeat business. So we typically have anywhere between 60 to 70% of our customers repeat order from us. It's extremely prevalent. So it's it's a huge industry that a lot of people don't realize how big it is in terms of branded apparel and promotional products. But also we have a lot of I would say tools in our back end to help our franchisees sell quicker and sell product more efficiently. And so I think they start obviously with being attracted to United Franchise Group and the stability, but then as the people get more into the industry, they realize this is a really great industry that's growing and has a lot of data and has a lot of involvement from really any type of industry out there.
I think through my journey to this moment, and for a long time, I was more serious about this joke than I am today. But I would joke. I would say I ended up in franchising, but I really wanted to be a baseball player that rode a motorcycle. Like that's what I wanted to do. But I for a long time, I almost looked at like I settled for a different dream. Now you have to be good at baseball to be able to play professional baseball. So that's issue one. But it was a tug on me for a long time. And I think for franchisees, like if we took every one of your franchisees and said, did you ever dream to be in this business? They say, absolutely not.
No way.
Did they dream about being in business? Maybe.
Yeah.
And now they're business operators. And so there's like this tug of letting go of what your childhood perceived your dream to be, to understanding the purpose. Like even you going through grinding with film and rejection and all those things there, like it ended up being an asset for you today. For you as a dreamer, and I think this relates well to a franchisee, have you let that part of your life go? Like that no longer dream, and now your dream has now shifted into I want to be, the best leader and executive that I can.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and I use, I'll tell you, I think having that experience in my back pocket, I utilize those skills, communication, leadership, memorization, those skills that you would learn in that industry. I use that every single day, in my job, right? Because ultimately I view my role as a galvanizing role, but also leadership and communication. That's really my role, is to communicate, conflict resolution, to ultimately help onboard and recruit new franchisees, as well as obviously deal with our franchisees currently in business and work with them. So I utilize those skill sets every day. So I feel like I'm in it right now, and this is my passion and what I love. And I love to work with our franchisees. And it's been a huge passion of mine that's become, I would say now I am living my dream doing it.
I said the reason I like stories of people is because I bet on the jockey. So I think we've set you up as, if someone's watching this, they're at least getting a sense of your personality and how you're approaching things. Let's close with anything else you want the candidate to know about the business opportunity if they did happen to watch this and they want to explore talking to you.
Sure. Yeah. I would say, Nick, that again, we've been in business now for 24 years. We're having the best year we've had in probably 10 years this year. It's been really, really good. Things have been really good for us. But I would say is, we differentiate ourselves quite well with our competition. Our one of our slogans is real products, real people, real results. That's kind of our differentiator, is people can see, touch, and feel our products in our showrooms. They deal with a real person who ultimately provides them awesome customer service. But also, we're not product sellers. I don't view fully promoted franchisees as people who sell product. I look at us as people who help our clients attract, retain, and engage with their customers and employees using branded apparel and promotional products. And that mindset, having that consultative mindset, has really helped our franchisees grow their business to even larger levels. And so, we're looking at continuing expanding in a couple of key areas. We want controlled growth, not crazy growth. Like I said, we want to ultimately, if we onboard another 30 new total franchisees this year, that would be great. But ultimately we want to find the right people at the right time in the right areas who are going to represent our brand in the best way. So that's our goal, Nick.
I love it. Look, you're looking at things the right way. I love your enthusiasm. And again, like the horse ends up being what the brand is. The jockey is the story that you're building. And I look forward to seeing where that goes, because I have a feeling this is not where this journey stops for you. You're going to continue to push this down. So awesome stuff.
Awesome.
For Andrew, I'm Nick. This is another episode of Meet the Zor.